Hey folks, it's Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my top 5 tweets of the week review, April the 18th, 2010. Don't have a whole lot to say this week, but I'll try to pick up some things that I'd learned early on in the journey that I'll share with you now. So even though my tweets haven't been much, I still got some things to say. The only real tweet I had this week was spirituality is about higher levels of freedom, not spiritual experiences. You know, a lot of people get on the spiritual journey because they want to have a spiritual experience, you know, and it's not about having a spiritual experience, even though there are a lot of spiritual experiences on the path. It's about higher levels of freedom, because I run into people online in life and they have one experience, one spiritual experience, and they think, oh my God, I've experienced everything. You know, and it's not about having a spiritual experience. I mean, I've had flashes of light and this and that, and I mean, it happens all the time. It's like on a daily basis almost. So, and just to give you an example of one I had, this is probably the most, it didn't really change me as much as it was just the most interesting. I was sitting there, this was early on in the journey, about a year and a half into it, and I basically knew I could forgive anybody if they would come to me, you know, and say, look, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or do this or that, and I would let it go, and they let it go, we hug and be done with it. So I was laying in bed, and I was said, you know what, this never going to happen, so I'm just going to allow it to happen in my mind. I was just pretending I met the people, and whatever grievance I had towards them, I told them they were for asking for forgiveness, blah, blah, blah. We hug, make up, whatever, and I did that with, you know, several people I had hard grudges on, and all of a sudden this flash of light, it just come from the back, and it was like a wall of light, and it'd come around, and then my eyes popped open, and I was like, yeah, I'm enlightened, I did it in a year and a half, it didn't take me 6 years like the Buddha. And I told my mom the next day, and I was all excited about it, and then Monday morning come at work, and guess what? Not really much had changed. So I realized right then, it ain't about the experience, it's actually the freedom that is what's really important. So don't get caught up in any little experience you've had. Like I said, I've had tons of them. Just drop of that and keep seeking greater freedom by using those principles. And second law, and people in their experiences, people have spiritual experiences, but then they put the wrong spin on it, and so they're in a Christian thing, and they have a spiritual experience in a Christian thing, and they go, oh, that validates all Christianity, which it doesn't. It's just a spiritual experience that you happen to have in that religion, which you would have had it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And then they put a different spin on it, and it's like, just accept it for what it is. Anyway, I'm tired of people and their experiences. Their spiritual experiences they cling to is like some golden badge to wear. You know, like I say, I have them on a daily basis. Okay, next tweet. This is from Lao Tzu. Knowledge. No, is it? I wrote it down. Let me see. What is the quote? It's knowing ignorance is strength. And basically what I like to say is you are stupid. And I mean me and you. And so here's my understanding of you are stupid. When I was in my 20s, looking back at my teens, I could look back and see how stupid I was when I was a teenager. Even though I was a smart guy when I was a teenager, I still was stupid looking back from my 20s. So now that I'm in my 30s, I look at my 20s, and I look at how stupid I am back in my 20s. And when I get my 40s, I'll look back at my 30s and see how stupid I was. And that process is going to continue to go on and on. So the sooner you can say, look, admit to yourself that you're stupid and you know your ignorance, that's when you can really start learning, because your mind opens up. Because if you think you already know everything, you ain't listening to nobody. And you see it a lot with teenagers, I already know everything. So Lao Tzu said knowing ignorance is strength, so I'll just point that out. And this is something I learned too early on in the journey. Nothing is solid. And that may not sound like a big revelation, but if you really look at things, you're always thinking they're solid. Like you think this is solid. And I'm not saying science wouldn't back you up and say, yeah, that's a solid. See, it's solid. But really, if you look at it, if you could speed up time, you'd see that it's really just a flow of energy. And so, and a lot of times we look at things as permanent, which nothing's really permanent except the essence of life. So when you're looking at things, try not to see them as so permanent, and that's what it causes us a lot of grief when we think things are solid or permanent. So I thought that was a very useful thing. And this goes into the next tweet. Getting rid of tension. Tension is a big problem, and it stems from ego. At the beginning of my journey, I didn't realize how much tension I was holding in my body. You know, just unconsciously, you're holding all this tension. And as I started making spiritual progress, and my mind started to become more aware, I could feel something. I was like, I could feel me holding tension in my abdomen, and all of a sudden it just let go. And I was like, oh, wow, man. It just felt so liberating to let go of that tension. And it sort of made me start looking for other tension in my body to let go of it. So basically, you're probably carrying around a lot more tension with you than you realize. And basically how you let go of tension is you don't force tension out, because that's, again, the tension's there because of ego, and you try to force it out. That's just ego forcing out ego, and that just reinforces stupidity. And so it's sort of like two dumb people fighting. It's just only going to escalate, you know what I mean? Or two dumb people arguing. It's just going to escalate into fisticuffs. So basically what you do is, to release tension, you watch the tension without trying to change it. And eventually it'll just let go on its own by awareness. And that's why I say the other day in one of my videos, even the way you walk, work on the way you walk. Like I was, back when I was at my prior work with this girl, and I would go walking, and I said, she's talking about running. I said, you don't even need to run. You haven't even mastered walking yet. She's like, oh, I'm mastered walking. And she's all clumsy and tense. She had all kinds of tension and emotions in her walk, and she didn't get what I was saying. And if you can let go of that tension in your walk just becomes so much more fluid. And like I said, work on the things you do the most often, and you'll get the biggest spiritual rewards from it. You know, fools look for big, wild, fancy experiences. They want to go train with the Indians. I'm not saying go. If you want to go do it, do it. Maybe you need to do it. Or I want to go to a monastery. I want to go to, I want to go to a temple. It's right here. Your spiritual journey is right where you're at. Lao Tzu said this. A journey of 1,000 miles starts under your feet. So your spiritual journey starts right where you're at, not at some Buddhist temple or something like that. Don't go looking for miracles somewhere else, because it's in your everyday life that you're going to find your freedom. And then if you go to a temple and come back, where are you going to be at? Your ordinary day life. So you might as well just stay where you're at, unless you really feel compelled to go to those places to experience the experience. So anyway, again, anyway. So anyway, to get rid of tension, you just pay attention to it, and it'll eventually just dissipate on its own by awareness. Okay. Nothing is personal. And if you notice what I always say, everything is energy. When you truly understand that, you know when you're taking something personal, it's just an egotistical thing. Now, I'm not saying if somebody is insulting you and whatnot that you shouldn't deal with it. However, you can take the personalness out of it and just deal with the situation. Because I got somebody right now. There's a young man who's messing with me here in my town, and basically I was taking it personal. I realized, it's not personal. He just needs to be dealt with. I am going to deal with him, but I ain't going to deal with him with emotions. He needs to be dealt with to teach him a lesson. You know what I'm saying? He needs to take personal responsibility for his actions. So, again, nothing is personal. And that leads into the next tweet. And this is by Lao Tzu, because the sage always confronts difficulties, he never experiences them. So, let's just take my personal experience here. I have somebody here I have to deal with. They've made it. They put me in a situation where I really have to deal with them, which I personally would like not to deal with it. But if I don't deal with it, it's just going to continue. I'm going to have to keep putting up with BS for a long, long time, which it's sort of like dealing with a dog. The sooner you can catch a dog getting ready to do something crazy, the easier it is to stop that dog from getting all, spastic. Once it gets into the red zone of biting and going crazy and fearful and just violent, that's the point where you can't really turn it around that easily. You stop it. Like if you watch the dog whisper, what's he do? The first moment they do that, he's on them, man. He's pushing them on the neck. So, and that's the same way. If you'll deal with issues instead of running from them, which that's one of the reasons why I'm on the spiritual journey, because I kept running and running and running from issues. And really, the spiritual path is about dealing with everything that you possibly can deal with. So, anyway, until the next video, later, folks.